Welcome to the Nerd Cave discussions. I am one of your hosts, Zach Dykes, joined along with Trey Price, where the honey in his tea just makes him sweeter.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
Thank you.
That's a good one.
I was like,
I kept waiting for the backhanded. I was like, here it goes. Oh,
yeah, I know. Turn it around, man. Turn it around.
Yeah.
Oh. This episode is brought to you by Epic Games and Patreon. You love video games and supporting the Nerd Cave at no added cost. Any purchase in the Epic Games Store or for Fortnite V-Bucks and Rocket League's cars and add-ons on any device is eligible to use our Epic Creator Code. Use NERDCAVE at checkout to support us with every purchase on the Epic Games Store. You can become part of the ship, part of the exclusive crew by going over to patreon.com/nerdcave, just like our wonderful crew members, the First Mate, Brandon Hicks, Helmsman, the Conductor, our gunners, Richard Newell, Daniel Sanford, Rushing Waters Yoga, Marilyn James, and Brittany, the Granny Bee, Harrison, and last but not least, our deckhand, Martin Sager.
Wow.
I like it. This is the Nerd Cave discussions, where we discuss the latest and the greatest movies and shows that you need to know. You can watch us live over at twitch.tv/NerdCave Network, or you can watch the show later on youtube.com/NerdCave Network. Make sure to hit the follow and subscribe button so you don't miss out on anything. I like it, so more people get to see it. Trey, you ready?
I'm ready.
You ready?
Yep.
Are you? Before we get into this, spoiler-free review real quick. Do it, Trey.
Go watch Book of Boba Fett. Now for the spoilers.
In this episode, we see Boba Fett. We see Din Djarin build a hot rod, and that dating a Jawa has its benefits. This episode's name is Return of the Mandalorian,
AKA season 2.5 of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, this episode, I loved every minute of it, but Amy kept asking, are we watching Book of Boba? Are we watching Book of Boba?
What is happening here? I'm a little confused.
Like, that was the constant, are we watching Book of Boba? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure. I was like, I'm pretty sure we're watching Book of Boba.
You pause and you double check and you're like, yeah, that's what it says.
Yeah, and I was just like, this is very interesting. This is definitely very interesting. Amy writes in real quick, the Jawa thing was weird, but hilarious. It was an eye-opening thing, because there's been a lot of speculation what Jawas look like under their robes. Same thing with like Tusken Raiders.
I heard an interesting theory one time that Jawas are just Ewoks that evolved on a desert planet instead of an arboreal planet.
See, you said a word that was like so like nerdy for a desert planet. I was like, man, let me get my thesaurus out.
Well, that's the English nerd in me. that training bubbles up from the deep depths of my beard, and it just happens sometime.
Yeah, and Brandon makes a good point here. I know this is kind of out of order, but seeing someone actually make Jawa noises was very interesting. Like a non-Jawa making Jawa noises. Yeah,
and if that was really her, kudos, madam.
Oh yeah,
kudos. Oh yeah, she nailed it.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. So real quick, thoughts on the episode before we get into kind of the breakdown and everything. What did you think, Trey?
I absolutely loved it. It was one of the coolest episodes of The Mandalorian I've seen yet. Mm-hmm. I felt like they were going this way because we talked about it last week. You know, when you hear the theme at the very end and you're like, oh, we got Mando stuff. But I didn't think they were going to just go full dive in. Like, they just dove in the Sarlacc pit and said, this is what we're doing. And, you know, Boba's not even going to show up. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But, like, it was good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really feel like this was a filler episode that I wasn't upset about.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it has very little to do with Boba Fett in this whole show, but they did some amazing, amazing things where it's like, we all know we really care about the Mando, Din Djarin, and then to me, it sort of like took care of season 3 of Mando pre-stuff.
Yeah.
Like now, come episode 1 of season 3 of Mando, we ain't gotta worry about all that. You dive straight in, and we're doing it.
Mhm.
Like we're not gonna do exposition or none of this nonsense. We got stuff to do.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And to your point, Amy puts this in here. Love this episode because of the content, but not good for the series, like Boba Fett as a series. And
Right.
then Brandon chimes in with, "I would have rather had them use this episode and in the next Mandalorian episode in the new season, to be honest." And for me, the episode is amazing, like 100%. Well, no qualms about it. The pacing, everything felt like a Mandalorian episode, and they literally brought Dallas Bryce Howard in, the ringer of the Mandalorian series, in my opinion. Like a fantastic episode has more than likely been directed by Dallas Bryce Howard. Like, she
Yeah.
does an amazing job. She really gets the flow of the whole thing. It felt nothing like Boba Fett. It felt like, okay, we've got to bring in Din Djarin to like really make this thing. And it's like, Boba Fett is the coolest Mandalorian that's ever lived until Mando. Like, the writing
Yeah.
for him has been so good, and Boba Fett, unfortunately, and I know a lot of people are going, "Oh, you're looking at this the wrong way." And I'm like, I'm not saying the show, like, I'm loving the show.
Yeah.
Just Boba Fett just does not feel cool. I'm sorry.
Not anymore. I mean, he spent a lot of time in the Sarlacc pits, and he's really kind of just softened over the years.
Yeah.
And that's fine, because you know what you can do later? Do an animated series about when he was in his prime. There's nothing written about it. You can
Yeah.
do it. We can get Bounty Hunter Boba Fett, but I'm sorry, this show ain't about Bounty Hunter Boba Fett.
No.
It just ain't.
And that's fine. Like, I
Yeah.
understand like the serialized, like, storytelling that we're getting here, but it's like, you compare that to this episode that told a whole story in one episode instead of what we've gotten for 4 episodes above this. And it's like, man, I really enjoy that way more than I've enjoyed these last 4.
Yeah.
And the last 4 have done some really great storytelling with the Tusken Raiders, with the Pike Syndicate, with Boba Fett himself, all of these things. But it's like, when you get a episodic thing right in the middle of a serialized show, it's like, I like that. That's the thing I like. And Dan was even messaging me last night. He was like, "Hey, I just watched the episode of Boba Fett and I really liked it." And I was like, "Don't you mean the Mandalorian?" He's like, "That's why I liked it." And then I sent him the gift of Boba Fett. It's like, well, now that I've been dishonored or whatever,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's very interesting, like, what they did here. But I love the episode. I love the
Mhm.
episode. I know it will put, like, it's important, blah blah blah, like where Mando, like how he got there and all of that. This could have been handled in 15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, it really could have.
Like, we didn't need the whole finding the covert, doing the whole dark saber duel. Like, all of that was great. All of it was great. The taking the spear and melting it down and all of that. Like, we didn't need
Mhm.
any of that. We literally did not need any of that. The opening where he, like, all that good stuff, that's all we really needed.
Yeah. But if you think about it from like a traditional writing slash theatrical point of view, we've had basically 3 acts of Boba Fett at this point. Now we have an intermission of Mando.
Hmm.
If you think about it as
Yeah.
like a little intermission, it's sort of like, ooh, this is changing it up and it's keeping me interested because we know all of that build up from the first half of the Boba Fett show. It's we're going to war and
Yeah.
screw the Pikes and we're doing this and the twins are bouncing because they're scared of somebody. We don't know who. And the Wookiee and all that different
Yeah.
kind of stuff, and it all kind of comes to a head, and then we're just not going to talk about it for a whole episode, and not a short episode. This thing's like 45 plus minutes long. It's
Yeah.
a full-on episode, so it's sort of like, look over here, don't worry about this, don't worry about this, look over here, look over here, look over here, and back to this now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think it makes sense from a technical standpoint. Because it's got to tie in. Because
Yeah.
anyway, and I know we're going to go through the show. I'm trying not to go into too much detail on it, but it makes sense from a technical standpoint.
Yeah, and Like that is a great point to make. It is like the breather before the heavy stuff.
Mhm.
You look at, I think I like Cowboy Bebop. You have these episodes that are very heavy, and then they're end capped with something before the next series of episodes, like build up into the next big thing. It's
Yeah,
like that kind
yeah,
of breather room. Anime does this all the time,
yeah.
100%. I didn't even think of it that way.
Mhm.
Brandon says, with this episode, they shouldn't have done any flashbacks unless they're needed. Did they do any flashbacks in?
I
I
don't
don't think
think
they
they did,
did.
unless you're counting this whole thing as a flashback and he's further along. But I don't think that's what they did. I don't think that's what it is. But I don't think there were any flashbacks.
Yeah.
It was all very forward thinking.
Hmm.
It's like this is what we got to do. Plot fixing, device here,
Yeah.
device there, yada yada yada. And then at the end, it's like we have a very clear thing that we are going to do before we will even work for Boba Fett.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that gives you timeline clues right there.
Well,
Probably all of season 3 of Mando is going to happen before these next episodes of Boba Fett.
yeah. Well, let me correct myself, since the first mate seems to feel like he needs
Oh,
to correct me. I didn't read it right because I'm running the ship over here by myself. With this episode, they shouldn't have to do any flashbacks unless they're needed. I think we're done with flashbacks regarding Boba Fett from
yeah,
now on.
yeah, yeah. Like you said, that last episode, even the droid's like, "Congratulations, Master Fett, you are completely healed." I mean, it was very much,
Congratulations, we're not doing this anymore.
yes, you finally got through the intro to this video game. Congratulations, like,
The tutorial section is done now.
yes, get out there.
So let's get into the story, because I know we've been dancing around it. We've been dancing
Yes,
around it.
yeah.
Amy says they did it so much, though, it's hard to tell what is flashback and what's not. And that was something, like for me, I was able to, Amy was like, "Is this present?" I was like, "Yeah, this is happening like in the time, like where we left off from the last episode, episode 4 of Boba Fett. Like this is like curtailing from it into where we are right now." So, um,
Hmm.
let's get into it. The first thing we open up, we're in a meat packaging plant, and nothing says slimy crime like a meat packaging plant.
Yeah.
And the first time we've seen a meat packaging plant in Star Wars. From
Yeah, it was very visceral,
Yeah,
like, yeah, there's meat, someone's got to process it.
yeah, and it was just really interesting seeing, like, it's like when that opened up, I was like, okay, this is something sleazy. This is something, like something's going to go down here. And then you see the shot. Like the shot was just really interesting before Din Djarin came in, and it's like, okay, what's about to happen? And then you see like the silhouette of him and the
Mhm.
spear in the back and everything, and it was
And you
like,
cue and you cue up Return of the Mac, and he's like, "Return of the Mac," like he's finally back. It was so good, so
um,
good.
Hook says they were cutting bantha meat. I think they were banthas
That makes
in
sense.
there. So yeah, banthas, poor banthas. But he comes in, he does all this cool stuff, and then we get this dope fight. We get
Hmm.
this really cool fight, and like, Mando using his armor to block stuff and take shots and all of this. And then it's like, you're wondering this whole time, does he still have it? Does he
And
still have
and
it?
right about that time, he like,
Yeah. And it's like, okay, all right. And then like the most violent use of a lightsaber I have ever
oh my
seen on
god,
screen was
god,
just like, oh my Lord, this is like what we've thought like lightsabers actually could do.
yeah, yeah, it was. Woo.
It was super visceral. And then, the injuring himself, I thought was a very good way of storytelling, showing it's like he doesn't really know how to operate this thing. Like he's
No, it
used to.
was very clumsy.
Yeah, it was just like, "Ah!" It was like he's going to
Yeah.
lose a limb.
And not like back in the day when we were like, oh, only force sensitive people can use lightsabers. Well, like, no, it really is just a sword, people.
Mhm.
It's not anything super, super special. But the fact that he's like,
Yeah.
and you're just like, what?
Yeah, it looked like he was like a fish trying to breathe air. It was like
Yes.
it was very clumsy.
He floundered a lot in that fight. Thank God for Beskar.
Yeah, exactly. And like if it would be like a long sword, something that would, like that's, a claymore, something that's like really big and like clunky, it's like it's made out of light. It's like
Yes, it's not heavy. It's not.
yeah.
It literally is a foot of Beskar about this long. That's all.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And we've already established that Beskar is some of the lightest metal in the universe.
Definitely. And then we get him like just taking out his bounty target. And, he says all before this, he says the line, I can take you in cold. All right, I can take you in warm. I can take you in cold. And it's like, this is super dope. Like, you want to hear that line. But
yeah, this is definitely a bounty hunter at work.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's a really cool juxtaposition of Boba Fett where he's in his life to where Din Djarin is in his life. He doesn't have a family anymore.
No.
Grogu's gone. He's going back to what he knows. He knows bounty hunting. And he's trying to find out. But my lord, the way he hacks that dude into, I was like, did I just see that right?
Yeah, it did not cut away.
I was expecting the cutaway.
Yeah, it was very reminiscent of episode 4 where Obi-Wan cuts that dude's arm off in the cantina and it shows it and it's like this bloody mess and everything and everyone's just like, oh, the bear. Because he does it and then he comes out with the head in like a rucksack and all those other dog aliens are like, they have giant knives and they're like, what?
And I love how Din Djarin is like, he's like, you can either let me pass and you can have all that money in there. I don't have any claim
it's all
to
yours.
It. Or I can go right through you. Like, these are the two options.
They just around.
Like, it was such a cool scene and really well done and tells a lot about where Mando is headspace wise, because as we learn, and Brandon put this in the chat, well, at least they introduced the reason why the Darksaber is special, since we've only seen it in the Clone Wars and a little in Rebels. Like, we got a little bit of it at in season 2, like, Bo-Katan. Yeah, of Mando. Bo-Katan talking about it and being all butthurt that she didn't own it anymore.
Super salty.
So the salt is salty.
Call her the Dead Sea because she is so salty. and she just turns on Din Djarin in a heartbeat. She's like, you're dead to me. And he's like, what? Did you want me to let him kill you? Like,
yeah, exactly. It's like, we were all going to die. And like, I took care of this.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But something like we see Din Djarin, I want to hit one thing I've got it in the notes, but it goes into him finding the covert and everything. He finds the covert on this Halo ring. My lord, is this not Halo?
This is a Halo ring. Why is there a Halo ring?
I was like, I've never seen a ring world in Star Wars. I was like, okay, I'm not saying that it can't happen, but this feels like Halo. Hey, perfect timing.
Yeah. Well done.
Favreau's
a Halo fan. Let's be honest.
Yeah. 100%. So we see him find the 2 remaining members of the covert that was on the planet they was originally on and everything. We have Vizsla, and then I don't remember her name, to be 100%.
I think she's just known as the blacksmith.
Yeah, the blacksmith or the forger or something like that.
Yeah, the forge master or something like that. I don't think they've ever actually said her name.
Yeah, she's dope. Like, she's really cool.
She, honestly, she's still my favorite Mandalorian. Like, I'm a sucker for like a wizened old character that knows their stuff and they're just super confident in what they know. And they're like, this is what we do. And and he walks in and she's just like, you didn't die.
Yeah.
Good. you know, like, and that's it.
Like, very, like, Hooked on Phonics says the Armor is her name.
Armor. Yes.
Like it was just like, so like standoffish, is like, okay, you're here. Like, Amy's like, what is her deal? And I'm like, I feel it too. Like, she's just like, whatever, you live, you die, this is the way.
Yeah. I mean, This is the way. She's the closest thing to a spiritualist these people have left. Because the rest of them are dead and gone.
Yep.
She's basically the last bastion of their religion.
Yep.
So she's like, this is what it is. And you gotta imagine the stuff this woman has seen. Like, oh my gosh, she witnessed the destruction of her people.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
And what's interesting is Mando would have grown up, you know, around all of that, but it's like, I don't know anything. It's like, what is going on? It's like, are you that dumb? are you that dumb?
Yeah.
But it was so
you were the foundling no one spoke to.
Yeah, you were left out in the cold one too many times. But it was really cool finally seeing the actual destruction of Mandalore.
Yes,
Like,
that was interesting.
Was
like
expected.
A flashback.
Yeah. Yeah, that was our only flashback.
That was our flashback, as we got to see the destruction of Mandalore.
Yeah, and man, it was intense. Like all of those TIE bombers and then bombing the Capitol. Like,
yeah, it's just like bombard the raking of the whole thing. It was, oh man.
Like I would just like when they were bombing it, like I was just picturing all of those episodes of Clone Wars from, you know, just where they're on Mandalore with Satine and all of that. Like it was just crazy. It was just absolute crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we get the introduction, and Dan pointed this out, which we saw his name in the credits before the first season. He says, I freaked out when I heard the name Vizsla. So he is the descendant of the Jedi Mandalorian. I can't remember his full name, something Vizsla. But we also know from Clone Wars that's the head of Death Watch with Bo-Katan was a Vizsla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fun fact, I think the original that character from Clone Wars was voiced by Favreau.
Yep.
And that was him in the suit.
Oh, dope. That's cool.
Yeah, I think Filoni was like, why don't you get in the suit? And he's like, you are this guy. Why don't you do it? And he's like,
this is the way. He was like, this is the way. Filoni was like, have you ever taken off your helmet? No. Has anyone ever taken off your helmet? No. This is the way. Like,
my head canon now. The armor is Dave Filoni with a voice changer.
Oh. Dan says, as soon as I heard the name, I knew something was going to down. Yeah, the way he was eyeing the Darksaber, you knew something was going to go down all this.
Oh, yeah.
Amy talking about... oh, go ahead, Trey.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, that Darksaber, that's the key to running the Mandalorians.
Yeah.
You run it. If you win it in honorable battle, you're in charge.
Yeah.
Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. And they hinted at how originally Mandalore followed the way. Their faith was much stronger, and the armor goes into this not big, but pretty important backstory where it's like, it said if you win this saber in honorable combat, you have the right to be Mandalore. And, you know, I don't know if they still call the leader Mandalore, but they used to back in the day. You were the Mandalore.
Mm-hmm.
So now she's like, if you don't win it in honorable combat, though, and it just falls into people who are unworthy, then we are cursed as a people until yada, yada, yada. And she's like, that's what happened.
Yeah, because Bo-Katan was given the saber.
She did not win it.
Yep, and then she tried to lead, and that's when Darth Maul and all this craziness started. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amy said real quick about the armor. She seemed creepy, not cool like Mando. Like she was just like more aloof than she was originally, in my opinion. But hey, you know, she did see her whole cohort, just like, you know.
She lost her entire civilization. She tried to rebuild. She lost them. And it all stems back to this one little foundling in a shiny helmet. And she's like, you know, every time you show up,
Yeah.
Nonsense happens, and she's like, "You better freaking be sure this time."
Yeah. There's
Like,
tomfoolery that follows you, boy.
yes, and I'm over it, sir.
Hooked on Phonics says, I love how they can duel when challenged. Also, Hooked on Phonics, I love the Uncle Phil. Like,
Yes, that's
it's
good.
just like the eyes. I love that. But yeah, and it's like, you get challenged. And I was wondering, I was like, what would happen if Din was just like, no, I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? I think that he would have lost it right then and there. It's like, no. So
Yeah.
it was very, very, very interesting. Real quick, and then we'll get back into it. Brandon says, I wonder if Bo Katan will join since she was banished for taking his helmet off. Probably not. Like, these are like super religious zealots. Bo Katan even talked about like Death Watch turned into the Watch, and they became like super religious and really out there on things. So, and that's Nate's comment brings me to my next point. We start seeing Mando and the armorer training, and you could see the sword getting heavier and his swings getting weird and all of that. So Nate says, it's weird to me how they portrayed it as being heavier and unwielding if you didn't know how to properly use it. And I think it was very, very interesting because that's my theory, okay? And we'll keep moving past this. I think there's some like dark side energy into this sword because at the beginning of the episode, yes, he was kind of unruly with it, but the sword wasn't fighting him just chopping people in half.
Yeah.
Because his purpose right then and there was to survive, and if that meant killing, he was willing to do that. So the sword just cooperated. But that wasn't in his heart when he was training. It was just like, I'm trying to figure this out. I'm trying to do all of this. And then it just kept getting heavier and heavier. That was really interesting to me.
Yeah, it definitely has dark side relic vibes. You know, I mean, all throughout Star Wars, you get these Jedi and Sith relics, and not just holocrons. Like, there's a bunch of relics.
Oh yeah,
out there. You could do a whole bunch. We could do a whole
Rings,
episode
scrolls,
on relics, spears, swords, like all kinds of crazy bonker stuff. So yeah, it's almost like, it's wondering. Like, it's got this whole feel about feeding on real anger. Like you said, when he was chopping the dogman in half, he was just like, gotta stay alive.
Yeah.
I don't hate you, but I hate you enough to kill you.
Yeah.
Because it's you or me. But yeah, the training thing, man, it's gonna be a big thing in season 3 of Mando. I think. I think it's almost like to the point where he's gonna try to do it his way. But that saber is just going to become more and more unwieldy, and I think it's going to like almost kill him or something like that.
Yeah.
It's almost like the Ring of Power. If you're not worthy, it will leave you.
Yeah.
It'll bounce, which makes sense why it liked
Vizsla.
Vizsla, but who was the Imperial
Gideon.
Yes, Moff Gideon. He that's why I liked Moff Gideon, because Moff Gideon's an evil dude.
Oh yeah,
he was like, slaughter the innocents. Heck yeah, Darksaber's all about it. So he had no problem wielding that thing. So yeah, there's more coming. It's going to be a heavy thing.
Yeah, exactly. And we get this duel, and it's it's just two guys like trying to assert their dominance and everything, and Mando literally loses the sword at one point, and Vizsla tries to pick it up. And I would have figured, because he was like all willing to do whatever it took, that the sword would respond different. But it looked even heavier in his hands.
He's like, this sword will be your doom. Yeah. Like, he's really struggling.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very strange in that sense. But then Boba gets the upper hand, has a vibroblade to his throat, and then the armorer calls it. She's like, it's done.
Like, that's it. And then she asked the questions.
Yeah, she asked the questions, and Vizsla, of course, I'm a religious nut.
I'm also not convinced he didn't lie. I'd have to go back and double check, but I'm not 100% sure he didn't lie to her.
Are you talking about This is a different Vizsla than the Clone Wars one. He's dead.
Okay, then I might be getting confused because that's what I thought. I was like,
no, he's
anyway.
dead. He's dead.
Okay,
this is part of his line though. And then Din gets asked the question, and I was like, the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, like the you know, that the like where they're about to answer a question and everything.
Yeah, and we've got that really awkward scene where it's just like, wait, all of these actors are in helmets, so we have no facial expression to read right now. It's just a bunch of helmets staring at each other.
Yeah, exactly. It's like body language, baby, body language.
Yeah.
And there's like you in your mind, you know what happened. And of course, he took off his helmet in the season at last episode of season 2, you know, say goodbye to Grogu and everything. And then he's like, I have.
He didn't lie.
Yeah.
And, oh, man.
And it was like, then you're banished. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. She's like, then you are no longer a Mandalorian. I was like, whoa.
It's like,
that escalated really quick.
It's like Boba Fett's like, Bo-Katan, Boba Fett. Like he starts going through all these lists. It's like
you just like
he's like, maybe she was right that y'all are a bunch of crazy people. Like this dude literally tried to chop me in half.
But the armor also maintains that these apostates, as Din was called, and that's a heavy word to throw around in faith circles. Apostate.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. Not apostle, apostate.
No, not apostle, apostate. You don't want to be an apostate, you know, because it's a pain in the prostate. I can tell you that. So she's like, you're done.
Yeah.
You know, and she maintains people who don't follow the way are the reason Mandalore fell.
Yep.
She full-heartedly believes disgusting people who take off their helmet are the reason our world is gone.
Yeah.
She is very nonchalant about the whole thing, and he's like, I beg your forgiveness, how can I atone? And then you get your next story arc.
Yeah. He's got to go to the mines of, I almost said Moria. He's got to go.
You must cross the bridge of Khazad-dûm.
The eye. He's got to go to like the mines of Mandalore and cleanse himself in the waters of
Lake Minnetonka or something.
Yeah. Like,
but then he's like. Yeah, and he's like, but they've all been destroyed. And she's like, I don't care.
She's like, sucks to suck, bro.
He's like, sucks to be you. Shouldn't have taken your helmet off, heretic.
Admonish him.
Yeah. He's like, you are on your own.
Yeah. So it was just very interesting. Like, again, all of this is happening in the book of Boba Fett. And it's like, at this point, we're like a good 20, 25 minutes into the episode, and nobody's seen nor heard or even sniffed a Boba Fett.
There are no Fetts around.
Yeah. And then we get, you know, we get him getting onto a ship and flying to Tatooine. I don't want to bog down on the travel and everything, but he's literally taking, you know, public transport. And it's like, how the mighty have fallen, my friend.
Yes,
how the mighty have fallen. But it was really
and he has to go through the baggage check and all that stuff. Oh man, it was rough.
Yeah, it was like, I know everything that's in here. It's like, okay, but the cute thing was like the little Rhodian girl that was like, you know, looking at him, all of that, and it was like that's cute. That's cute.
Yeah,
we get to Tatooine and we see the mechanic that we've seen from season 2 and I think even season 1 of Mandalore.
The crowd favorite NPC.
Yeah. And the first thing we see is a BD1.
Yes.
And I paused it and I was like, that's Cal Kestis. That's Cal Kestis's.
Like that is the BD1.
Yeah. 100%.
I was like, Oh, that means. Well, I mean, my brain just started going. You know, like you got the lore map that connects in your head when you get a piece.
Yeah,
and it's just like, what does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean?
Does that mean Cal is with Luke training?
you know, where is he? Why did he come to Tatooine? Well, let's be honest, we know why he's on Tatooine. He's chasing down some Obi-Wans, but he's gonna find that he's not there. But anyway, but then why did he leave BD1 with this mechanic woman?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, BD1 was his homie.
Yeah. It puts a lot of questions out there, but I loved seeing BD1 brought into live action.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was
Loved it.
really, really cool. And they even had like his mannerisms from the game down. Like there was that one bit where like he like hurt his foot or something. He was like,
Yeah.
And that's how you see him when you first meet him. And it was spot on.
I know.
I was like, oh man.
It was crazy. I paused it and I was like, I was trying to explain it to Amy. I was like, and this, and this, and this, and this. And it was just like, okay.
Like, all right, I'm gonna go get a drink. You thirsty?
Well, it was like I was getting like super nerdy, and Amy was like, "I just want to watch the episode."
You've been paused for 20 minutes.
It's like, and then Cal Cassis, his master, died. Just all these,
Yeah. Which, not to go off on a Fallen Order tangent, but they did such a good job with the graphics in that game. Where if you look at the actor, he is Cal Kestis.
Oh, yeah.
That's the guy. Like they put him in this video game. And I even said to myself, I'm like, I wonder if they're gearing up for some live action Fallen
Dude, that would be
Order
dope.
stuff.
That would be dope.
Because it was too good for just a short little video game, And then so when I saw that, I was like, holy crap, I'm a genius. I'm
a genius.
I knew it. So I would love it. I would love for Cal Kestis to show up in season 3 of Mandalorian.
Ooh.
I would love for him to show up in Book of Boba Fett. I just want to see more Jedi stuff at this point because we've had our hiatus. It's time.
It is time. Brandon asks, why does BD1 always get attacked by a creature and get hurt? Like that's always like the beginning of Fallen Order. He gets attacked,
Yeah. I don't know.
He just looks appetizing. I don't know. So we get into this. We get into, the whole, it reminds me of in season 1 where they rebuild the Razor Crest. But we're presented an N1 starfighter. NB1, I think, is the thing. And And for the uninitiated, for the ones that might not recall it, it is the Naboo fighter that is from episode 1, Phantom Menace. And I was like, holy moly, this is awesome. Like I wasn't expecting it, but I was like, this is so cool. Like just seeing it and everything. And
it's
go ahead.
I was just like, it scared me a little bit first because the first thing you just see is one of the engines, and I'm like, is she going to try to pawn him off on a freaking?
That's what
racer?
I thought. That's what I thought.
Like I was about to get so mad at her. I'm like, you freaking idiots! But then she's like, whoosh, and I'm like, hold up, what is this Cadillac of starfighters here? And I was totally on her side. He's like, this is junk. And I'm like, it is not junk, sir.
It's handcrafted.
This is Naboo goods, man, from pre-war.
Yeah.
You can't get much better than this.
Yeah.
And then they retrofit it like it is like a drag race car.
Yeah,
like,
I love that they have like the like Cadillac converter. Yeah, like it's like sticking out and everything.
The front.
Yeah, I was like, this looks like a hot rod. Like it 100% looks like a hot rod. And
it gets all that yellow paint off of it, and it's like, silver again.
Don't need that. Everything has to be silver. This is the way. This is the way. And she makes a good point that this is like does not have any trackers, any of these kind of things, does not have any beacons and all of that. Hooked on Phonics says off the grid, 100% off the grid. And
yes,
I like that's important to Mando.
That's what you need in your bounty hunting career. You don't need to be tracked.
Yeah, exactly. And Dan put in, he says it looked cool, stripped down and stripped of yellow paint. Like this looked like a hot rod for 100%. 100%.
It was cooler than the M&M Power Ranger hover bikes, bar none.
Yeah. Amy says it was sleek. It was a sleek ship, just ain't a lot of room. And that was one of my things. It was like, okay, Mando is used to a starship, not a starfighter, where he
Yeah.
can get up, he can sleep, all of this. This one will be able to jump in hyperspace, which is huge because a lot of
That's big.
starfighters are not able to do that without a ring. We saw that in, the prequels and all of that. And, TIE fighters can't do that as well. So I think that's really, really, really cool. And yeah, Brandon brings up the point. There was even room for Grogu in the Astro Droid slot. I thought that I was like I saw that and I was like, that's for Grogu. And me and Amy had like this moment, like just like, could you just see Grogu back there just doing Grogu things?
Yeah, because he even made a point to ask about it. He's like, "What happened to the droid slot?" And she goes, "I hauled that out. You famously hate droids, so now it's just another little seat." And we're all like, I wonder who's gonna sit in the tiny seat.
Like it was just so good. And then we get Mando testing the ship out, and my lord, it was like he was like, oh, it's really and then just whoosh, and then we get Beggar's Canyon, like we get like the kind of whirlwind tour of Tatooine, and man, this thing is like kicking up dust.
It is getting it. Like you ain't never seen a ship get it like this. We thought the Falcon could get it back in the day.
Yeah.
And I know it doesn't seem well to like if you're not up on what all ships can do and stuff like that. Trust me, y'all. This thing is stupid powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. It was crazy.
Like, people are gonna offer him so much money for everywhere in season 3. This is gonna be my little thing. Every episode, everyone's gonna be like, "Nice ship. You want to sell it?" Like they're gonna ask him to buy this thing so much because it is just it's top notch. You can't beat it. And then he even like gets up in space and does all that and just and then they do that thing where she's like they're talking about the converter and all this other really heavy nerd stuff, and I'm like, you're even losing me. What the heck are you nerds talking about? And then she was like, you just press this button and then you see it do it. And it does the thing that I've never seen in Star Wars.
No.
Go from a cold stop to light speed.
Almost light speed.
Almost like that. It's like sub-light speed, but it's fast.
Yeah, it's like,
freaking fast.
It's super fast. Speaking of like all the technical mumbo jumbo they were saying, she said flux capacitor. And I was like, and Amy was like, she said flux capacitor. Can you do that? I was like, well, I guess so. Like it was like this little nod, to Back to the Future and everything, and it was so cool. It was so cool. And Hooked on Phonics brought up it was the same route as the episode 1 pod race, and
it was.
And it, I was hoping for some Tusken Raiders shooting at him, but neither here nor there. Neither here nor there.
They blew the budget on other things.
Yeah. Dan says, I was wondering how he was going to transport prisoners, and then I saw the empty droid slot. I didn't even think of that. He just hack them into little bitty pieces. Put them in a Tupperware bowl. He's like has like a bunch of Tupperware. He's like, and here's the leg. It's like it's like Legos.
Yeah.
Messy Legos. Amy makes a good point. It makes me hope for Star Wars time travel. I don't know how time travel would that would be so we did get it in the Star Wars Rebels bringing Ahsoka back. That was time travel.
Yeah.
And then we did get it also in the Star Wars holiday special, the Lego one that they put out a few years ago. So, there is Star Wars. There is.
And as we know, in your world, all Star Wars stuff is canon. So
it was all canon, baby. All
even
canon.
Lego, it's all canon. It's all the same. If it's on a screen, it happened.
Yep. If it's in a book, if somebody took the time to write it, that includes the 4 different ways of Boba Fett's origin.
Yeah, they all happen.
They all happen. He's a man of mystery. A man of mystery. Oh, and then we get the whole the ship is awesome. I'm curious what he's going to call it. I'm wondering what it's going to be called. And then we get him landing and everything. And the only hint of Boba Fett of any sort is Fennec Shan. Like, hey, we need some muscle.
And she's even like, the pay's good. And he's like, tell Boba it's on the house. And I'm like, Why?
It's like, dude, do you not know what money is? Like,
Yeah, maybe this is why you're always scrounging around the universe, because you never actually let people pay you. Like, come
yeah,
on.
yeah,
He's like, if it's not a bounty, it's not worthy to
yeah,
be in my pocket.
yeah. It's like, nah, man, it pays.
Yeah.
But he made a point. He was like, I've got to go do one thing. I got to go see somebody before I can do this. So I'm like, we're of course going to see like the war break out in the show this season. I feel like, we're not going to necessarily get the wrap up, I don't think, in 2 episodes, because I think that would be rushed. Like they've really like did all this stuff, and I don't think they're going to finish it in 2 episodes. I think these 2 episodes are going to set up for season 2, and it be this big thing.
And that's going to be the war.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
100%. And hey, we might just get like the very first scrimmage on episode 7.
Yeah. I really would like Boba to really do a super gangster thing at the end of this season and call for a sit down with the Pikes, and then he just boo boo, and that's when Din Djarin shows back up, and they just clear the house. They just clear everything. They kill all the Pikes, and then they have to send in the new bad guy for season 2, because Boba finally went gangster and said, "My town, and I will murder you if you set foot in this town."
I told you years ago that you were
college.
Yeah, in college. But you know what? You know what he was gonna do? He's gonna invite them all there. He's gonna like, say hello to my little friend, and then all of them are gonna fall into the Rancor pit, and then it's gonna be the Rancor down there and eat them all.
I do hope we get to see him riding that Rancor before the end of the season. Like that would be super dope. Like very Night Sistery. Danny Trejo's there, and he'll be like, "Orderly."
Amy says, it didn't even include Boba. If I was the title character, I would be upset. Just saying. And like that was my thing. Like when Boba was included in season 2 of Mandalorian, we didn't get a whole episode of just Boba walking around,
That's true. Yeah.
But this was like, okay, we're setting up for season 3 of Mando, and we're going to use this as a tool to get everybody hyped for the end of this, because now Mando's a part of it,
Yeah.
So I don't know. What are your final thoughts on the episode?
Really cool. Like I'm with you. I loved every second of it. I really, really enjoyed it. Every little thing. We learned so much lore. There is so much Star Wars lore in this, and I'm a lore junkie, so I just want to piece it all together. And just between the Mandalorian lore and then BD1 and the idea that the Jedi are rallying again, it's just got my brain all buzzy, and I'm excited. And I like that Din Djarin is not going to like take convincing to be on Boba's side. He's just like, no, I'm in. I owe him one.
Yeah.
Because at first he was a little leery. He's like, "You're not a real Mandalorian," and Boba's like, "Excuse me. Look at my bloodline. Look at my bloodline.
Look at my BlackBerry. Look at my BlackBerry."
Look at it. In the end, but then Din Djarin was like, "Checks out. Yeah."
You took off your helmet though.
Yeah, still not cool.
Apostate.
But I may or may not be an apostate too now, according to my pastor mom. So yeah, I think it's good. I think if I wrap my mind around the idea that this is the intermission of the first chapter of the Book of Boba Fett, then I'm cool with it. I absolutely love it. You even get like a little tidbit of, like you said, BD1 scanning the thing, and then you get the Jedi Fallen Order map. And it sets up great stuff for Mandalorian. We kind of skimmed over it, but he takes the spear, melts it down, and he says, "Can you make it for a foundling?" And we all know exactly who he's talking about. And you don't know what exactly she made, but we saw that she turned it into chainmail rings.
Yep.
So I'm thinking he's got him a little Beskar chainmail shirt for Grogu.
Yeah.
And they even had it in the little pack, and she tied it to where he's holding it up, and it's the shape of his freaking head. Like it's a little ball with ears, and I'm like, oh yeah. But I'm also wondering if by the time he finally does get to Grogu's not a little older.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
but yeah.
you know, they age really slow, so who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't know. We don't know.
We don't know.
I like the episode overall. You know, thinking of it as kind of like the intermission between, you know, the chapters and all of that, I think that helps a little bit in my mind. But again, I wish we would have got something with Boba Fett other than Fennec Shan at the end of it. You know, it's like, go get me go get me Mando, go get me Din Djarin, whatever.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean, Boba could have at least shown him some respect and shown up himself.
yeah,
You know, I mean, Mando to Mando, you show up and you say, "Hey, I need a favor."
yeah, yeah. Like him, like come down the jetpack, and it's like, okay, you know, because you know Boba Fett hardly ever uses the jetpack when he needs to,
Like when he's falling in a Sarlacc pit,
or you know those people with the shields beating him up
yeah,
could have flew out then,
straight up.
literally, you know, chase down that guy with the, you know, but we had to get that Power Rangers episode in there.
Yep, had to. It's canon.
Yeah, that would be my only thing that I'd take out of canon. It's like, no.
We don't talk about the Power Ranger bikes.
So, guys, let me know what you think about it down in the comments. We'd love to hear what you thought about Book of Boba, Episode 5, Return of the Mandalorian. And also, if you dated Jawa, they're hairy.
What we learned.
It's what we learned. And now you can have that visualization in your head always. Ootini.
Ootini.
Ootini. Guys, this has been Zach.
And Trey.
Y'all have a blessed week. Bye.